maybe some comment.
Yeah.
Commentary, maybe special.
Yeah, I think that's better. You know what I mean? As opposed to where do you even start? For some reason, that's feeling a little phony to me as an idea.
Right.
Whereas it goes, damn, I guess it's good to be the mayor. Something like that?
Yeah.
Damn. Guess it's good to be the mayor. You sure this isn't a leap?
Don't trust me.
You mean like you trust me? It's been 2 years now, and I don't even know who you are, man.
The directors that have come before have interpreted these characters, you know, in their own images. And so my Gordon is very much reflective of the vision that Matt had for Gotham, but also it's reflective of the work that Robert does as Batman. And they're very much, of course, a team.
Thumb drive.
Oh, this guy's hilarious.
It's difficult for Gordon because, like, you know, Batman he's pretty set in stone. Like, I do not trust anyone in the entire police department, but I trust you, like, probably about 60%.
This was, again, very much inspired from the partnership that they had in Frank Miller's Year One. Gordon in that story was a very human character. He was imperfect. I really wanted a character who had an innate goodness, but was swimming against a tide of corruption.
Gordon, as this kind of overwhelmed everyman, reaches out to Batman out of the sense that he's a capable figure. And he's also, I think, what I've discovered in playing this, he's one of his biggest fans.
You know, Jeffrey is very funny, and he's got great charisma as well. He's an amazing actor. He was not at all afraid, and we talked about this a lot, to have egg on his face.
In the face.
They had a very unique kind of rapport, and it was, in that sense, like a buddy comedy.
There's a confidence Jeffrey has. There's like a humor in what he's doing that I think is slightly different.
He's just trying to do his best, aspiring towards some type of justice, but he's not nearly there. And, you know, whether he has the capacity to be there is another thing, but he's at least, you know, trying.
I just want to make sure that it's not spreading out in a mechanical way. I want to make sure he's just kicked the out of this guy. And he looks up, and then it's like, I'm just trying to figure out how to read that moment. So take the last hit and look up at them, okay? Action. Okay, so what it feels like you're doing is checking with each other who really wants to face him, but it's like, okay, so we're doing this, except who the to do it? With that in mind, do we try that once more with that idea?
All right, guys. All right.
You don't have to go any further than the first
So
one.
keep Frank's left. Camera record these, please. All right. So real life, grounded.
You know, in the Burton movie, I remember it was such an exciting moment when that guy says, you know, who are you? And he says, I'm Batman. That was such a definitive moment. Somewhere early in the writing, I came up with this idea of him not saying, I'm Batman. He's actually, at this stage in his career, kind of a frightening figure. And I wanted him to use that phrase that is in so many of the comics, which is for him to say, I'm vengeance, because this is a personal mission.
He's had this concept of Batman, which he's been building for a year, and he doesn't know if being Batman is going to work or do anything. He's just compelled to do it. That's a kind of important differentiation of this Batman. Basically, the options are kind of death or being Batman.
This whole thing starts really because of what happened to him as a child, and what he's doing is he's taking out his vengeance for what happened to him.
I always just get the impression that he just wants to keep recreating the night where his parents died. All the fights seem very personal. He's fighting a stranger as if they have personally harmed him every single time.
They think I'm hiding in the shadows. But I am the shadows.
I wanted a shocking moment where these guys would be terrorizing this commuter, and out of the shadows would come Batman, and they'd think, well, who is this goof in this costume?
Now knock his ass out.
And then he would reveal himself with such ferocity that you'd be shocked, and you'd know right then, oh, it's this version of Batman.
It's not just disarming people, it's punishing them.
The hell are you supposed to be?
the end of the day, he doesn't even really have that much in the way of technology to give him an advantage against the people he's fighting against. I mean, he has a few layers of bulletproof armor and a few gadgets, but it's pretty rudimentary. I mean, he's very, very, very fallible.
Batman doesn't have powers, he just has a drive and he has the resources. I thought, well, okay, so then he's gonna create this bat suit. The purpose of the bat suit is twofold. One, it's to intimidate and scare the hell out of the criminal element. Two, it has to be very protective. It has to be very tactical. It has to be like riot gear.
My ambition is to try and make everything feel very real. I want to be so into the film that I should almost not notice the costume, because it should just feel in place as much as the buildings behind them feel in place, and everything should just feel right.
Well, it's quite daunting because you're trying to think, what else can you bring to something like this? When I was younger, that's when they first made the kind of Michael Keaton suits. That was the kind of high technological costume making at that time. Matt's inspirations are very dark detective films. Gotham's this kind of rotten sort of New York of the 70s. And then there's Batman, and he looks like he's part of that.
The bat suit is an evolution. This is the year 2 version, and I wanted you to get the feeling that Bruce had put that together in the Batcave.
We'll have an initial conversation about the direction, what kind of feel it should be, the tone of the suit. So then Glyn will go away and kind of do some kind of exploratory drawings. Then we'll come back, then we'll discuss.
One of the first things that I did was scribble out some bat logos, because that's got to be one of the most iconic symbols, not only in comics history, but film history, and it's all over the world. Most of them are taken from real bats in flight. Me and Dave, we both liked 22. And luckily, when Matt came back to us, that was his favorite as well.
I wanted to see the seams. I wanted to see his suit had been scarred, and military gear was an inspiration for the crafting of it.
One of the main concerns always with all Batman suits is movement and what the actor can actually do. So we were kind of determined to make Robert as agile as possible. It's all divided into panels and elements, so it allows for full exploration of whatever he needs to do.
Get out of here, freak.
Matt had talked about he liked the idea that he's like an MMA fighter. He's rougher, you know. I mean, he wanted it to be scary. So I thought maybe the cowl could be more skull-like. Some of this around here, it's kind of sculpted in like you would around a skull. And this nose piece, which is from the front, it's got that opening in the face. And obviously it's also inspired a little bit by that Adam West.
The body of the suit, it's very much based in US military or sort of late Vietnam to contemporary kind of military techniques in sort of ballistic protection.
Everything has a function. So it came to, what are we going to do about this? Can it be something that's practical? So then we came up with the idea that, well, yeah, maybe it's something some blades that he can use.
We were all talking about it, and then as we were talking about the logo, it just kind of came to the top that this could be the knife. Because of the nature of the actual bat symbol was very utilitarian, could we just take it out of the chest?
A lot of the talk online was that it was Joe Chill's gun, but I'm sorry, that's not where we came from on this. But I like the gun idea, but it's not what we were thinking.
The gloves. Now, the gloves have a mini taser. And we've got his van braces, which contain his grapple gun.
Matt liked the idea of Taxi Driver, you know, when he kind of flicks out the secret little gun.
That's old school engineering, so he's able to fire his hooks. So that's eventually what gets deployed out. So this opens out and allows them to pull him up building in the classic way.
It was fun to make, you know, the guys in the workshop did a great job.
The first time I put it on, I mean, I'd been in the Batman Forever batsuit and realized you are basically a statue in there. And so the first time I put on this batsuit, there's so much more maneuverability that I was like, oh, wow. It's like wearing normal clothes of any kind. It's definitely not like wearing normal clothes at all.
He looks great in the suit. It's crazy, though, when his jawline and everything, when you see him in the bat suit silhouetted, he looks like the comic.
it just creates a magic and a masking of the Bruce Wayne identity in a way that's really powerful. I think it's a function of the design, but also a function of him as an actor.
And I was saying to Dylan and Matt, I was like, wow, it is very transformative.